Welcome back to Kicking Ass with Tanner Stone with me, Tanner Kateri, Lucas, and today we have a special guest, Ashley Vertuno. She is the CEO of HCA JFK North Hospital, and she is really kicking ass in life. And we are so excited to talk with her and learn from her today. I hope you guys can learn something too. Let's get right into it. Bro, you're nervous.
Of course, we got a big. You don't realize like it doesn't hit you how big of a person she is and how much impact she has on the medical field compared to like. You know what I'm saying? Oh, again, there's the. Do you know what I'm saying?
Nah, you don't say that. You say.
You know what I'm saying?
In a sense.
In a sense.
That's what you say. I bet you're gonna say that. You said it last podcast, one before.
All right, make sure I don't say it. If I say it, like
no, it's good. It's good.
In a sense.
Yeah, you say it.
Is that that my catchphrase?
Are you mentoring anyone right now? In a sense.
No, I'm not gonna say that. It sounds stupid. I think that's my new filler word for the word like.
Yeah, I try not to say like.
Yeah,
I'm gonna speak very slow, so I don't say it.
If you say it, you say it, bro. And the Nelk podcast, they say like all the time too.
Here she is.
All right, let's get it done.
Morning.
Hi.
Hello, good morning.
How are you guys doing today?
We're doing good. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for kind of shuffling things around and working with me. It's been every time it's in the afternoon, things aren't exactly working the way that they should. So
No, we get it. We get it.
Yeah, you probably like a really busy schedule. I mean, you run a hospital.
Yeah. So it's I appreciate it. This is nice to start the morning off this way as well. So cool.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We appreciate it a lot. So you are the CEO of a huge hospital, and that's very impressive to us. How did you get to that position?
And yes, I'm Ashley Vertuno, the CEO for HCA Florida JFK North Hospital here in West Palm Beach. I think the journey really started long before really actually being in healthcare. And it's really around having a passion to help people, passion to build teams, and being exposed to healthcare at a really young age, both from, family members being in healthcare, whether it's from being a physician to registered nurse practitioner, or even having gone to multiple doctor's appointments as, people were getting surgeries or needing splints, very athletic family. And, that comes with some injuries and some minor strains and pains that you have to see a doctor for. And so I think having that exposure early on in your adolescent years really starts the creative thought of what you want to be when you grow up. And so, initially I actually wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon and kind of worked my way through schooling for that. And then when I was in college, I reflected back on times when I was team captain for my soccer team, had the ability to be an assistant coach for 2 U14 boys and girls travel soccer teams, and really thought, I think I could have a broader impact with being able to cultivate teams, build teams that can follow a shared vision and really help people in more ways by doing that. And then that's when, I really set my career trajectory on wanting to be a CEO, to have that impact on a much broader scale. And so worked through my organization outside of graduate school. So I went to Virginia Commonwealth University for undergrad, University of South Carolina for grad school. And that was in a master's of health administration, so more concentrated on the healthcare front. And then I actually worked for HCA Healthcare, which is a for-profit healthcare corporation here in the US, but also in the UK. And the exposure that they've provided me in really understanding the depth in the healthcare industry opened my eyes to, again, continuing on that journey to be a hospital CEO. And it's been pretty rewarding in the sense of the number of people we've had an impact on in saving lives. So I can go more into depth, but that kind of gives you at least it in a nutshell.
It does. And your journey leading up to becoming the youngest woman CEO for a hospital. Did you have any mentors to guide you along the way, or were you more like a solo journey?
You can never do this alone. Actually, I'm reading Carla Harris, Expect to Win. So if you've never heard of it, it's a really good book. And one of the chapters talks about 3 types of people that can help be supportive in your career journey. It's an advisor, mentor, and sponsor. So there's 3 different types of individuals that are out there to really have a lasting impact on your success. And I really can tell you, you can't do it alone. You have to have a team around you to support you. And so the advisors, I created a board of advisors for myself, and some are in healthcare, some are not. And those individuals are people that I can lean on and call and ask some specific questions that I may need an answer to really help guide me in a direction that I need to go, both whether it's professionally in a full professional stint, even from a business perspective, and how can I move something really quickly in my operations. And then mentors, yes, absolutely. I have had significant influence from mentors that have actually turned into sponsors, or have been a sponsor that has been the person behind the closed door advocating for me, and really knows my potential, knows my quality of work, and can speak to what kind of output I'm going to perform at the highest level. And so again, I don't think you can do any of this alone. My current hospital that I oversee, I've had the opportunity to rebuild an entire team. Started here with 2 executives and now have a team of 10. And each individual that's in their role has key skills and strengths that really add to the team. And that really helps support my vision for the organization, but really collectively supports each other and where we're going as an organization and the direction we're going. So, I think it'll be much harder if you go at it alone, because it's nice. It's important to have that support.
How many people were you up against to get the CEO job?
You never know. You never know. I mean, I think you hear some rumblings, and a lot of it's hearsay. But it's really about fit at the end of the day. And I think I've learned that over the years. I remember when I was moving into the COO role, so Chief Operating Officer role, and I wanted this position so bad, not the position, but the physical hospital so bad, great location, great environment to really grow and to stretch my legs and really be exposed to more and more. And I ended up not getting that position at that specific location. And the reason, when I reflect back, was based off fit. That's kind of how I took it. And so I kind of reflected to the point that when you're going into an interview process, you're interviewing the individuals that are actually you're meeting with, and vice versa, because they want to know, is it going to be a mutual benefit to the organization to have both people on the team working collectively together, again, for the same goals, same mission. And moving into this role, I saw the opportunity. I like the plan in terms of looking at a facility that was a single service line, and service line in healthcare is essentially one type of service that we offer to the community, and really bridging the gap to create a community-based hospital where there are more services that we can offer to the community, where the community will seek us for medical care. And that's where I think that no matter how many people up against for this role, it's having the right person that can deliver on that type of strategy is who they selected. So again, I've been in this role a little bit over 3 years, and it's been an awesome journey and cultural transformation in changing really the present environment to where it is today, and having that right person in the place. I'm happy that I guess you'd say was chosen for it.
What skills are needed, or like were that you had separated you from the rest of the competition when you were going for the CEO position?
I think there's some key indicators that you have to have in general when you're looking for a new role. One of which is focus on direction and being able to convey messages strategically and effectively. So articulating what that strategy and vision looks like, and having a team and really a support system to follow to live out those key initiatives. And then, I think if you look at, there's a book called Grit. It's actually written by Angela Duckworth, and really rolling up your sleeves, getting with the frontline team, and leading from the front. So having grit is pretty important when you're looking at these type of hospitals. This is considered a turnaround hospital, and so that's something that not every day is going to be awesome, and you got to make it awesome. And so really rolling up your sleeves is pretty important. And then the one thing that I also add is you have to have fun. These are long days, and I know that doesn't seem like a typical characteristic, but we do have to have fun. And I think bringing the energy, bringing the joy and passion to what you do resonates with a lot of the team and with the caregivers that are taking care of patients. And that really brings out what they like and what they're passionate about. And you can then see it, feel it, and definitely hear it when you're in the halls of the hospital.
Lucas and I know how busy you are right now. So how hard is it to balance your work life and your personal life?
Oh man, I don't call it work-life balance. I call it work-life integration. So if you were to look at my calendar, it's kind of interwoven with each other. So personal, professional, all interwoven, really based off color coding. And I think you have to understand what your overall priorities all are. So creating what I would like to say is a personal operating guideline that can really provide your direction in what you do on a daily basis. Everyone has goals that they've set out to achieve, but if you can map it out, whether it's through your calendar or through what, like I said, a personal operating guideline, what's going to fill your cup up. And some days maybe a little bit longer on the professional side, and then there might be a little bit more on the personal side. And that's why I call it an integration, because it's a give and take. And ultimately, you're there to serve and to execute on the deliverables, to which you will know very quickly. And I pick up on my own self if I'm not delivering on one side of the equation, and it can really off balance you.
So going through your long journey to becoming CEO, you probably went through a lot of ups and downs. I just want to know, what was one thing that just kept you going? Like, no matter how many downs you went through, just what was like that motivational factor that just kept you going?
I think the motivation really is around is really around the target and the vision. I can tell you just the past night or 2 nights ago, I was talking to our board, and a positive comment was made. And that's when not only myself recognized it, but the team recognized it. What we're doing is making a difference. And I think when you get to hear it from outside perspective, that how your facility is presenting, how your team is presenting, that fills my cup. That really shows that we're making an impact, and it really allows you to come the next day and say, okay, we got this, let's roll up our sleeves and keep going. And then the last piece with that would be support. Ensuring that you have a team that you're surrounded with, that you enjoy coming to work, or you have a team of support outside of your professional journey that supports you and knows how you operate, and really knows what you're doing. This team, again, as I shared, was recently built. I mean, I think the longest standing executive outside of myself has been on the team going on almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years in April. And then from there is a trickle effect. So 1 year, maybe 8 months. And this team is family. You spend so much time at work that you want to be around individuals that lift you up, that also support you and can listen. And that's what we've been able to build here. And it's been inspiring. It's something that, I can tell you, I look forward to coming to the office the next day, because I know the energy that they bring, and that fills my cup. So that's kind of how I see it. And then just to keep myself grounded, I work out pretty consistently. I was just at the CrossFit gym this morning, been doing that actually. I was reflecting on that with my CrossFit coach. We've been together working out for 5 years now, and that's a journey in itself. I think one thing that keeps me going, and many executives, is the ability to continue to compete. So take myself outside of the four walls of the hospital. I do CrossFit for a couple reasons. One, it's just great physical movement and health. But ultimately, it allows me to continue to compete mentally, whether I'm competing with myself, maybe adding a little bit more weight and I'm trying to achieve a different goal, or I'm competing with time, or I'm competing with other people in the gym. And so, it's kind of it's a mental stimulator that allows you to physically still keep that competitive mindset going. And then you can bring it to the office. So that's kind of, overall, I think, to answer your question in a nutshell.
No, yeah, I've done CrossFit before. It's very competitive. It's just, there's been times where like you do the workout of the day, it's just you against you. Like you just got to keep on pushing.
Yeah. I think that's the important part. The one thing that I would share that I love is, and partly this is due to my own personal experience. I had shoulder surgery back in 2020. So right before COVID, January 2020. And then I had the opportunity during COVID to really get my rehab going and ensure that I was back to tip top shape. One thing that really taught me was to throw your ego out the door.
Yeah.
And, I learned that in a way, because one, I didn't want to get injured again. Two, you can push to a limit, but recognize that you've got some boundaries, and really keeping that in check. And I actually took that into the workplace as well. So I think some things that you do outside of work in your personal life to really help yourself achieve what you want to achieve can be translatable into the workplace. And so I think CrossFit is something that I've been able to use in wellness, I'd say, in general, for how we continue to live, be healthy, and motivate others.
Yeah, my first ever session doing CrossFit, I got humbled because I used to go
right?
to the gym and I thought, oh, lifting weights don't correlate. No, I was gassed out. So much cardio. It's insane how humbled I got.
Well, and then think about it. You wanted to go back and do it again, right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this is awesome. And you can still tell the story. And that's the part where I think it has a lasting impact, is really around, it had a memory and an impact on you that now, you can relate. You can feel it.
And then in the CrossFit, there's also a community too. So you like build that community, which can correlate to the workforce for you, right?
Yeah.
Like how to build up a community and keep it running.
Yeah. If you think about it, a hospital in itself is like its own city. We have hospitality workers. We have our food and nutrition. We have our environmental services. So that's housekeeping. And then we have our finance department. There's billing. There's concierge, in a sense, where they are our registration team. They meet you on the front end coming into the facility. Then you have all of the team members in between. And so I think it's kind of, it's relatable in the sense that you're right. It is a community, and living out the values of our community are pretty important. And then you think about CrossFit, there's values attached to that too.
Knowing that you do all this fitness stuff to stay healthy, are you on a diet or anything, or do you? And another question that's a little off topic: do you do the cold plunge?
I don't do the cold plunge. I don't know. I think it's really cold. I've tried. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I've tried. I think that there's a huge benefit talking with individuals about it. I am also in YPO, and almost every single person has a cold plunge.
Yeah.
I relate it to about a boat, right? You don't need to buy a boat. All your friends have a boat. So just go do the cold plunge at someone else's house. You'll be good. And so I don't do the cold plunge, not necessarily because I don't agree with it, more so just because I don't have it at my just accessible as others. But when it comes to nutrition, I actually do follow a meal plan. I follow some macros in moderation, but I think that balance with physical fitness, nutrition, and mental, really that self care is really important. And self care is really for me around massages, facials, having some discussions with small groups to ensure that you're talking through things and you're making sure that you're mentally able to stay motivated and charged and be able to go throughout the day.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people who are in your position and have all this work to do, they forget about their health, and their health is so important.
Yeah, it really is. And this is how my team and I talk specifically, right? So we each created, I have a team of 10. We each created what I shared earlier is a personal operating guideline. And that is, what are your breaking points, right? You have to have these in order to show up as your best self in the workplace. And no matter what happens, these are the indicators that you will show up to work in your best self. You will have a smile on your face. The list goes on. Well, the first one is around, for me, is self-care personally and for family. And so that's the number one that's on my personal operating guidelines, because how I show up for my team is really important. And I want to show up as my best self. So my team knows that for me, I am in the gym leaving my house by 5 a.m, getting to the gym, and I start the day off with setting the tone of fitness. And then I come in and get things rolling. And what's really funny is there's some days, I think there was even one last week, my COO goes, "Have you worked out today? Did you work out this morning?" And I said, "No, I did not." And she goes, "Yeah, I can tell. You need to make sure you keep on that regimen." And I think that's important. One, when a team can call you out. Two, that there is a little bit of a difference. And you showing up as your best self is really important. It's important for you, for me, I think it's really important. It makes my day just ebb and flow. And so no matter what happens, it's going to be okay, right? And so that's kind of how I see things.
You did a lot of interviews for the hospital so your hospital is new, correct?
It's not new. Actually, it was built in 1974. It has had 7 names though. And so, thinking about that, there's been a lot of community perception that each name has had its own reputation. And we are in our 7th name, so HCA Florida, JFK North Hospital. And if you were to go back to March of 2022, across the entire state, we went through a branding of the entire state. So we went from, we were actually JFK Medical Center North Campus is what our previous name was. It's a mouthful, right? Well, now through March of 2022, the entire state of Florida, which we have 49 hospitals, over 350 care sites, multiple physicians, and over 75,000 colleagues, are all under the same brand, and that's HCA Florida. It's created brand unity. It's created brand recognition. And it has allowed us to, what may seem like, yes, new hospital, but it's allowed us to repurpose who we are and where we're going as an organization, and truly live out our mission, vision, and then also our patient promise through HCA Florida, JFK North Hospital.
What's some advice you could give to someone who's applying to work at a hospital? Like, what made you choose the people that are in your community that made them stand out?
when you want to be part of our team, it's really around fit. And really connecting to purpose. So we ask all of our employees what is their why, and why healthcare, and then why JFK North. As I shared early on today, we are changing the culture and the trajectory here, and going from one single service line to multiple service lines to really meet the needs of our community, be that community hospital that patients in our community will seek access to care to. And we want to ensure that there is talent that uh, sees that vision and that has the passion to take care of patients. And, one thing about healthcare, you may not be a direct caregiver, right? So you may not be a nurse, and you may not be a what we call patient care tech. So those would be our employees that are assisting our nursing teams and really taking care of patients at the bedside. You may not fall into those two job descriptions, but every person that comes into our facility has a person promise, and that's every action, every person, every time. And what that means is every interaction that you have with someone that enters our building, that exits our building, that walks into a patient rooms, that walks in the hallways, has a conversation with either a colleague, a family member of a patient, or a patient, has a lasting impact on that patient's experience and overall affects the quality of care that that patient receives. And so when we talk about individuals joining our team, we look for that. We look for that individual that is going to be part of our vision in meeting those expectations of that patient and person promise.
What are your busiest specialties at the hospital, and why do you think that is?
We've got a couple of specialties right now. So one of our service lines is behavioral health, and pretty proud of that. We're one of the only hospitals here in Palm Beach County that actually has behavioral health, and one of the largest in our organization. And that's a busy service. I think as you've been seeing, we have really been working on combating the stigma of mental health and embracing it. And our team does a phenomenal job here of taking great care of patients with mental health. So that's one. And then on our acute care side would be orthopedics, strong performance with orthopedic surgery. And then we have expanded our spine program and brought in a couple new spine surgeons recently. And they're really, I'd say both similarly, orthopedics and spine are moving in the same trajectory and journey and continuing to expand services there. And then we have a really strong vascular service as well. And that's an area that we have continued to focus on, expand upon. And you can see it when you see from our capital infrastructure expansions. We are building our second interventional lab, and that'll be live later this year. And then just the continuation of the expansion with our overall services in that area. And then there's multiple more, gastroenterology, which is really procedural based, but having just the top physicians in that space is really important. And so we've been growing in that area as well, and we're going to continue to grow. We've got big plans, and we have a great team to help meet the needs, and phenomenal physicians. I think one of the areas that we haven't discussed is that we can't do what we do as a hospital without our physician partners. And so that really is, I think, part of the building block here is having the right physicians to be able to live out the vision and to take care of the community here in West Palm Beach.
How was that feeling of getting CEO?
It's very humbling. It is. It's you have a lot of people that you work for. I work for over 750 employees. I work for them, and then you think of the number of patients that we take care of, and that's why I say it's very humbling. You get to hear stories of some of our caretakers that have worked for the organization for years or have just started and have their own dreams and aspirations. And that's pretty inspiring. And that's really awesome to be helping them grow professionally and personally to meet their career objectives and then ultimately saving lives. Each person that I work for is saving a patient life. And so that is where it just has a lasting impact on you.
I saw an interview where you said that you learned a lot from a CEO that you worked for, and that she was a big reason why you wanted to become a CEO. Would you say you learned a lot of your skills from your years in college, or was it through working in the business world?
I think, good question. I think Dr. Tommy Friss Sr., who is the founder of HCA, says it very well. Bricks and mortars don't make hospitals, people do. And that is something that, I learned coming into HCA. And then again, when you look at some self-reflection, one of my very first bosses when I started with the company was a female CEO. And I remember interviewing with her. And that interview was the starting point to the mentor sponsorship relationship. And that was because she asked me one question, one defining question. What do you want to be when you grow up? Well, someone coming in college, it's not really a question that you think someone's really going to ask you. However, I looked at her and I said, I'd like to be you. I would like to be in your role, learn from you. That's a perfect moment to really have that conversation, and then the relationship built from there. So she definitely had a lasting impact, and I think a lot of it is through trial by fire and observations. And so you can learn a lot during your schooling, but the on the job training is the best book out there. And that is really getting in, getting exposed, rolling up your sleeves, failing. If you fail fast, get up really quickly and start to look at what's the next solution and then learn from it. There's key things that we've all had some failures, and learn from it and just put it back in your tool belt. I always say that. I say, you've got a tool belt around you. You're going to learn and observe from some people that you really like how they're performing. And that's something you can put in your leadership tool belt and you stick it in. And then there's some you're like, oh, I don't want to do that. So I say, just throw it away. But ultimately you'll pull that back out when you need it, or have some form of similar situation, and you'll know what not to do, and also how to tackle it moving forward.
Do you have any regrets in your life?
No, not at all. There's times that probably about 5 years ago, I thought about it. I was like, oh my gosh, why didn't I go to med school? I should have become an orthopedic surgeon. And I said, you know what? I have the best of both worlds. I get to work alongside physicians every day and live out their career aspirations and what their dreams are. And that's pretty inspiring. It's really fulfilling, and it's exciting. It's having an impact on the community. They're going through their training, and it allows us to really be a partner. And that's the best part, is that the relationship with a hospital CEO, the entire C-suite, and the physicians, is that we're partners, and we're in it together for the patients and for the community. And so, no, I don't actually have any regrets, and I'm excited for what's to come in the future as well.
What are some of your dreams and aspirations?
So there's a couple. I've gotten more heavily involved in some philanthropy work. Part of it has been with the American Heart Association. I've actually been a long-standing member with them since I think it was 2013. So I'm going into my 11th year with them. And I think that ways to give back with the American Heart Association, I was the past Go Red for Women chair 22 and 23. And that's pretty important, being a female executive, but really being a female health advocate in terms of cardiovascular disease is the number one killer for women. And I think that, really having the ability to share that It's largely preventable. You have the tools that you can control to really help reduce that number for women is pretty important. So I want to continue to be involved with the American Heart Association and really have that advocacy for women's health. And then, eventually, I want to go into being a system president for healthcare, and where that goes and what happens from there, we'll see. But I think it's important to continue to have goals, write them down, and that way you can at least start striving for something next. Coming into this role, people would ask me 6 months to a year in, well, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? I didn't really actually have a good answer to that. And partly because I was getting my feet wet. I was really in here learning the job and understanding what this role truly means and what do you do to be successful in it. And it's really been eye-opening and, again, very humbling on the impact that this entire C-suite has for the community. And that's why I've really thought about it long and hard. And so ultimately we'll say a system president.
And what's the biggest achievement you've done since you've been in the CEO position, in your opinion?
Well, this year, 24, we actually started as a team putting in my office. And again, we're only 26 days into the month of 2024. We created an achievement board. And that way we can start to actually write down so we don't forget how awesome this team is and really what this facility and our colleagues are doing for patients. So we started to write that stuff down. I think ultimately it's really around our people. It's around our colleagues. The most impactful and proud moment that I can tell you is, we just received news earlier this week, is that at this point now, I've had 3 employees that have either been a finalist or are a official enterprise winner for patient experience or mentoring or philanthropy work. So we have a pharmacy tech that's in our on our team that was a finalist and an award recipient for our regional team members here in East Florida, and he was recognized for his philanthropic work that he does with the Filipino Association here in Palm Beach County. Then we have a finalist in our emergency room, and she's a registered nurse for mentoring and being a mentor to new nurses that have come out of school and are part of our team. And what's powerful with that, there are 94,000 nurses in our organization. She is one of 3 that received that type of award. And then we have over 300,000 colleagues in our organization. And literally just this week, we were notified that one of our patient access team members, so you could say essentially like a concierge, was recognized as the official award recipient for the care experience that she provided. And that's right here. That's right here in Palm Beach County, that our team, our employees are making a lasting impact on someone's life. And so that is something, I have not been exposed to in my previous roles. And so I'm very proud of all of their achievements.
Just like you had a mentor when you were starting and you looked up to someone, and when they asked you, you said you wanted to be them when you grew up. Do you have anybody that you're mentoring right now?
I do. I've got a couple individuals that I'm mentoring, and it's funny because the same scenario that I shared about what I did, in a sense, the question was asked during my interview, but I spoke up. I remember a couple years ago, I was at a conference, and this woman walked up to me, and she was introduced to me through a colleague of mine that works for our organization, and she said the same thing. I want to be you when I grow up. And I have to tell you, I was shocked and stunned at the same time. I was like, wait, did I hear that right? But also I was caught off guard, and not because of the question, but because of I guess how I've been able to have an impact on her and not even know it. And that was really inspiring. And so I think one of the pieces of advice that I would give to anyone in healthcare, but ultimately, is to pay it forward. And that is something that I believe in. Someone took the ownership and the um, had the glimpse into my potential and took risks on me. And so having the ability to pay that forward. And again, she is doing phenomenal. She graduated from the University of Minnesota with her master's, and now she was in Arizona, and she's just kind of zipping all over the place in her career now and just doing phenomenal things. And so, we may not be in the same state, same company, but we are definitely engaged and watching from afar, and that's pretty powerful. And it's exciting. It's exciting. That's just one example. There's more, but that's definitely a highlight.
What would you suggest for people to stay healthy? Like, you work out, you do your whole thing, and then you have work. For other CEOs, what would you suggest that they do to stay healthy, being as busy as they are?
One thing actually, and most companies use Microsoft, and someone had to teach me this. Like, I didn't even know about it, and this was really cool. There's a program in Microsoft now for Microsoft Outlook it's called well, I call it focus time, but essentially there's an ability to dedicate time in your calendar, so you can have creative thought. You can have time where there's no meetings, where you can physically step away from your desk, so that way you can mentally recharge. And I think that's sometimes the first step, because most of the time we're on the go, 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 go. And we have to have the ability to recognize we need to stop, and we need to take a break. And that's one of the cool features now, as long as you kind of adhere to it, is that you can put that and build it into your calendar, and that will help. I'd say that's number one. And then the other is really just control the controllables. So, if you can control going to the gym and it motivates you, just think about all the endorphins that it pumps through you. And I've really done some research. Just walking. Really. That's why the steps, we've got all the pedometers and Fitbits, and I actually have an Aura ring. And just knowing that walking really does have an impact. So instead of taking the elevator, take the stairs. um, Little things like that. And then what creates a habit is you do it for 5 weeks, and you do it consistently for 5 weeks. Then you're like, oh, I enjoy that. And you keep going and doing it more, and then you just add more things onto it. So that's kind of small steps to make a lasting change, but those would be ones that I would recommend on the onset.
I noticed that nowadays mental health is so important, and people are slipping up on their workout. For me, when I notice that my mental health slips up, I try to make a goal and commit to that goal for at least a month. What do
Yeah.
you do when you notice that your mental health is slipping?
Well, first of all, I think it's about recognizing it, right? Or at least listening to people that think that, hey, you're not at the top of your game. You got to go reset. But for me, it really is. It's the nutrition, it's the working out, and it's dedicating time to do it and blocking it out on my calendar. So that's really, really where I found that self care, because it's pretty important. And I would just say that um, even getting exposed to just the outdoors. One thing, unfortunately, my office has no windows, and I think my entire C suite has no windows. So, getting exposed to sun is important. I was just meeting with a physician yesterday, and he called it the little things that have an impact on a patient. And I loved it because he said, open the blinds, let the sun shine in, and that is so important. And we live in Palm Beach and we have the ability to get sun pretty much every day, that not every single person in the country gets exposed to that. And we should embrace it. The sun does wonders on our mental health, and just, having a little bit of sunshine throughout the day, it's really important. And it does add a smile to everyone's face. Seriously.
I agree. My dad, every morning, he's been waking up, no shirt, going out in the sun. Yeah.
It's true. It's true. There's some research studies on this, and I don't have them by hand, but people were explaining to me from a mental health stature and confidence building is, even though it may, dermatologists may say otherwise, but having the ability to be spray tanned or just self tanner and looking tan can build confidence in people too. And so, sunshine, feeling physically fit, or it really helps with just overall, as you said, mental health, confidence, all of that. And so I think the baby steps start with at least going outside, getting exposed to the sun.
I totally agree. I try to get outside as much as I can, but in school, I'm stuck sitting in a room. I've tried wearing the blue light glasses now.
Do those work?
I have no clue.
That's, I used to have a pair here sitting at my desk, and I go, I don't know if this is really working. Is this something that I really need?
It makes everything yellow.
Ah,
Yeah.
Okay.
But it dims the light a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
For my glasses, I have the blue lights. Or, is it blue light?
Yeah, blue light.
Yeah, I have the blue lights for my glasses.
I love it. Well, you're in Chicago, right?
No, that's the other one who couldn't make it today, Xander.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He couldn't wake up. I guess the sun's not shining there.
No, he had hockey practice this morning.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. But you got me and Lucas.
I love it. No,
Yeah.
You guys are great. You're great. Well, I guess, Lucas, Tanner, what else can I answer for you? Or, in general, I mean, I appreciate this. This has been awesome. I want to be respectful of your guys' time.
Yeah, no, we want to thank you for coming on an interview with us or a podcast with us. You have a very busy schedule. You're probably your schedule changes out probably every day, every minute. I just want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule.
It's funny you say that, because my assistant, we used to print my calendar out the end of the day. And now she's like, we're going to print it out the next morning, just because things may happen overnight. So it's just kind of ebb and flowing in a good way.
Before we finish up, what's the biggest piece of advice you would give to the people who are watching, who want to learn how to kick ass in life, and for the people who look up to you?
Piece of advice is write your goals down. 100%. Write them down. Share them and share them in a deliberate way, and then just go after it. Find the people that are going to support you to achieve those goals. And, whether you believe in manifestation or not, it's one of those where you write the goals down, you throw it away, or you put it someplace and you don't look at it. Just keep going, keep doing it. Roll up your sleeves, and, the world is your oyster for sure.
Thank you so much for coming on this podcast. We learned a lot. I learned a lot. And
you're welcome. This was awesome. This is a great way to start the day too. I love this. Okay, guys. Well, appreciate you. And thank you again. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good rest of your day.